What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is November 8th of 2017. Well, folks, as you all keep up with the channel, you know that a few days out of each week, I recap on the daily price action, news, and topics related to cryptocurrencies. And even though it is late at night and almost going over towards November 9th, and I should probably be considering going to bed relatively soon, I couldn't help but make a daily update today to talk about the big news, as well as the price action that ensued. Today, we had a very large event. SegWit2x is canceled. It is no longer expected to launch in mid-November, so we can call off the fork. Or can we? More on that as we go throughout the video. Along with that, we get to talk about Bitcoin and altcoins. A lot of people have been asking me, Nick, now that the fork has been canceled, are you still optimistic on altcoins more over Bitcoin? Do you think Bitcoin is going to continue higher to 10K? There's a lot of good questions, and I hope to kind of simmer down the questions and answer as much as I can. Along with that, I want to go about talking about a very important lesson after we recap on the price action of Bitcoin and altcoins and talk about something related to SegWit2x that is going to teach us a very important lesson about trading futures, all right? So let's go ahead and start off the video. So first and foremost, folks, I gotta say, there's a lot of people who watched my recent, my reaction to the cancellation of SegWit2x, and some people were concerned that I wasn't happy about it because I wasn't showing too much emotion. Folks, it was early in the morning. I'd been, working all day and stuff, and I haven't been getting the best of sleep recently. But, folks, I am absolutely happy about SegWit2x being canceled. I'm absolutely ecstatic, and it was what I was reading in the fine print that really made me excited. It was the fact that the developers behind the project realized not only was it probably for the greater good of the Bitcoin community and cryptocurrencies in general, but along with that, it was a fear out of a division of the community, a splitting of the community, which is a genuine worry with these forks, probably the largest out of anything. Because yes, we can yell at it and call it free cash at the end of the day, and it's going to sell off, and it damages the Bitcoin brand. What it really does at the end of the day is it dismantles the infrastructure, dismantles the community. And even for a temporary amount of time, that can be devastating and really have long-term consequences and cause confusion in the community. So again, I think this was a step for the greater good in the sense of Bitcoin and the long-term potential of Bitcoin. And the reason why they have a staked interest in, protecting Bitcoin and making sure that whatever fork they're going to push through is a competitive replacement is because if SegWit2x were to launch like it was, this was looking to be a pretty steady competitor with Bitcoin, and it was going to lead to a lot of uncertainty in markets, which could very well damage their portion of ownership. They may own 80% of the hash rate. They may own a ton of Bitcoin in the world. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, they genuinely have to listen to the community because we really determine the sense of adoption. We choose what gets transacted, what really, at the end of the day, at its core fundamentals, what currency is going to get adopted. And because of that, it's at the whim of us. So they do have to listen to us. It is a very decentralized system. But, of course, there's other factors as well. But at the end of the day, this was good news. This is something I'm very happy to see. I'm very, pleased to see that they finally listened to the community, which was over vocally, preaching against SegWit2x. So good to see that. Enough rambling on it though. However, there is one thing, as I was saying from the beginning, something to keep in mind here, and we'll see this later on when we take a look at the futures. Right now, they're suspending their current plans for the 2 megabyte upgrade, but the group has said that it still hopes the block size will increase further down the line once there is more agreement from the stakeholders. In statements to the BTC1 Slack group, developer Jeff Garzik, who's the lead on the project, said that the alternative software will continue to be developed and that it may support other chains such as Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and other Bitcoin family chains. So keep in mind, the idea of forks are not going away. And if we continue to see it keep up after the cancellation of this one, I'm going to be just as fiery and just as upset. And I think we should as a community, unless it is a viable replacement to Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, if it is such a viable replacement, we should see a relatively overwhelming support and consensus from the community, which is what we need. This did not have that, okay? This was determined by a very select few people who owned the majority of the hash power for Bitcoin, and they met in a very secretive meeting up in New York. At the end of the day, that sounds a lot like how our traditional monetary system works, and it's not built for something like Bitcoin that's decentralized. that we, the people, get to choose where it goes, okay? So, enough of my ranting and raving and stuff. That's all I gotta say, but very good day for both Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. All right, so let's go ahead and run through some of this price action. As you all know, altcoins have been killing it since the fork news. I mean, this was pretty standard. It just came earlier than expected because of the cancellation. But along with this, we've got an interesting trend here. Whereas, as we see it in total, coin market cap has relatively not been flat, but it's not tethering up extremely fast. We've had a pretty flat day overall after the huge announcement where we had the sell-off, and now we're a little bit to the upside. A lot of people are curious as to whether or not this is Bitcoin going up or altcoins. Folks, altcoins are feeling the love right now. It is, I'm not saying that Bitcoin hasn't. Bitcoin was still up for the day, even after I think it had its sell-off. But the altcoins are feeling the love. And if we take a good look here, if we go here to the all-time market capitalization, actually we'll go here to the 1 year. Altcoins have been sitting here in a prolonged waiting period, waiting to have their turn at the third bull run. And as we always talk about on this channel, folks, as it is proven through the previous 2 bull runs, altcoins follow Bitcoin. When Bitcoin leads, altcoins follow. Okay, and the same goes for the downside. When Bitcoin usually turns down drastically, not 5 or 10%, more like 20 to 30%, altcoins feel the pain too, because they're a little more on the higher risk side. However, at the same time, there's some great players out there, and many of them are on, extreme discounts. I mean, I can't exaggerate it. There was just so many cheap players out there. With Bitcoin kind of being shaky now, and it's kind of wobbling through a wedge here on the hourly after this drastic sell-off. First off, we had the big bump up after SegWit2x got canceled, which I think, gave a lot of an investor confidence into the original Bitcoin, because now you don't have a forked currency that's coming. But at the same time, I think you had some institutional buyers or some short-term buyers who bought in and they thought, well, I'm not getting my free money. Screw this. Okay, this is my free money, the rally here, and then they sell off. I think a partial amount was also long-term investors just, kind of worried about the stability of Bitcoin long-term. But really, at the end of the day, I think this was a short-term sell-off. So I'm not going to really use this as a justification to say that Bitcoin, this is the Bitcoin crash because it happened so quick. No, I mean, there was a huge cancellation. I mean, this is understandable to have this kind of volatility, and the volume that was pouring in was drastic. Again, though, I'm not going to have a real consensus on Bitcoin until we start seeing this take a direction. Right now, over the hourly, it's either going to go up or down here, and which way it depends on which way it breaks out of the wedge here, because we're getting very close and enclosing that wedge, and the price action's coiling closer and closer. So either we're going to get a breakout, and if we can get above these highs, I don't have much of a doubt that we're probably going to go all the way to 10K. Again, we don't have the fork in there anymore. I feel a lot more confident on Bitcoin, but at the same time, we got to keep in perspective, as we take a zoom out here from the 15-minute, which is what we're looking at. We really have to keep in perspective, folks, that this has been on a drastic run-up. And my internet, oh, there we go. Of course, right when I start to talk about my internet. Folks, we got to keep a little bit in perspective as well, that this has been on an absolute phenomenal rally. But it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the day that this could go up a little more exponential. If it's moving up so quick, now that we're out of the fork and we have the futures news coming up, again, I'm not going to sit here and deny it any longer. We could see Bitcoin 10K. I just don't know if I'm adding at these levels. I'm not selling my crypto now. I'm not bearish, but I'm not adding anymore. I'm waiting for an actual serious correction in Bitcoin. However, though, the alts, I'm adding. I built some pretty decent positions that have faltered pretty well, or I wouldn't say faltered. They've done quite well over the past few hours. I've done very well ever since the news came out. But I'll be honest, I'm not going to say I called it in any sense. No one knew this was coming. But this was bound to happen, whether or not the fork was canceled or not, because after the fork, you have money rush into the alts, and that's exactly what happened. Neo, prime example. Right now we're seeing more of the new daily candle that's forming here, but really this was up around generally, I think, almost like 25, 30%. you know, oh, sorry, no, we're taking a look at ARK right now. My apologies. I had Neo first originally on my tabs, but we had ARK here, you know, going up again, same level. It was actually kind of funny. The three that I have here, ARK, Neo, Omise Go, all following generally the same patterns. You can see it in the chart. We had the initial run up, and usually, okay, the faltered sell off. This happened during Bitcoin Gold, where we had the rush up after the fork, you know, tradition, just like the previous fork, and then you have the sell off down. In this case, it's holding on all three, and they're going right back up to their highs, if not higher. Again, folks, I think this is really just the beginning, because we have to take an outward step and an outward look at what's going on here. I mean, compare this as an investor. Just think about this on a logistical sense. I don't care on a fundamental sense if you're pro Bitcoin or pro altcoins. Take this in a trader's mindset. Are you more likely to buy something that's had this kind of rally, or something that's had this kind of sell off? That's at cheap discounts. What do we talk about, folks? We say buy low, sell high. I can say it in a million times and stuff, but I think you're probably getting tired of it by now. But again, I'm going to emphasize it because it's the same concepts of traditional markets. You know, we don't buy after something's rallied up here. We buy it when it's at an extreme discount. ARK had gone on a major sell-off. Neo, major sell-off as well if we go here to the daily. Absolutely great discount on Neo from its you know, previous run up here just a few weeks ago. And then we also have Omise Go. Omise Go was at 300,000 Satoshis. And we had an opportunity to buy it under 100,000. Folks, you don't miss opportunities like that. You know, you don't get them that often. And, you know, again, not taking any credit for the returns we've had so far. This is mostly due to the fork, and things are just generally oversold. You didn't need to be a whiz at this. You know, I'm no genius by any means. And I hope my humbleness speaks to a degree that, you know, we just have to take very simple market concepts. You know, again, we don't buy things when they're at record highs. We buy things that are at discounts and have fundamental adoption, fundamental optimism tied to them, good ideas, etc. So again, I could ramble on for hours. A few of the other players we have Everix doing quite well and currently playing out generally as planned. We of course had the ICO pop up, and now it's above the highs here of the cupping price action. And now I'm thinking we're going to do a curve up, much like we're seeing with the previous ones we looked at, where we'll break out above the highs and continue upward. We'll have to see, though, if we can still gain the momentum to get all the way to the top. Along with that, we have Substratum as well doing quite well. Substratum found a double bottom here after the continued altcoin sell-off, and now we start to see some volume come in, and it's looking pretty nice here. So we're going to definitely keep an eye on Substratum at these levels, but nonetheless, I'm definitely liking this. I think as we have more good news come out for Substratum, we could definitely see this continue upward, but we're going to have to give it time, much like a lot of other altcoins that we're currently watching on more of a long-term perspective. All right, so outside of that, folks, general speak, I'm more on the altcoin side more than anything. Bitcoin is still at an undetermined consensus. Watch that wedge that I pointed out on the chart. All right, so this is something we have to talk about, and something that I think is fundamentally important to understand in trading cryptocurrencies. And this is something that generally kind of worried me. Of course, I didn't see it as being this much of an issue because I didn't expect the fork to be canceled. However, in cryptocurrencies, we've started to see a general trend now where exchanges are starting to trade futures. Okay. Now, in traditional markets and derivatives markets, you've probably heard of trading futures in oil and wheat and other commodities that you might be familiar with. Well, trading futures, I mean, that's a generally normal thing. And basically, when you're trading futures, you're trading ownership in certain types of commodities in that sense. And the same goes here for in the case of SegWit2x. However, there was something very fundamentally different. SegWit2x didn't exist yet. Keep in mind that when you're trading forked currencies, folks, and I'm not trying to rail on this guy specifically, that's why I'm not showing his name or anything, but there was a pretty big article that came out where this guy was talking about on Medium, he posted it, why he bought 90 B2X, or SegWit2X futures. Thousands of dollars were spent on this, folks. I don't care if it's small or large, because I know, depending on how much you're spending, it could be a large part of your money. And we don't want to gamble it on things that don't even exist. I mean, cryptos are already created easily enough. Trading futures for something that doesn't exist, that's dangerous. And I mean, this is generally why I think when you see, for example, in the case of Bitfinex, which was doing this kind of trading. Bitfinex did a split early on where they gave you BTC1 and BTC2. Those are your two currencies. You had the original Bitcoin and then SegWit2x, and they were just called these arbitrary Bitcoins with 1 and 2, and you could trade them on markets, and people generally knew what they were. However, if you looked at the futures for BTC2, people sold them off pretty quick because that coin didn't exist. Okay, and I think that generally people understand that, especially the large-scale investors, which is why they probably cashed out early on and put their funds back into Bitcoin or put into whatever, and got out as quick as they could. And that's something we have to keep in mind here. Again, I'm not saying, I've told you all before to avoid this kind of stuff. No, I'm just saying in a general consensus, I think this would be a good thing to share with you all. Again, keep in mind, I know that we'll most likely be getting more forks this year until the community just outright goes out against anyone who's trying to fork Bitcoin. In this case, it's bound to happen at one point or another. When you have these SegWit, things like SegWit get canceled, entire forks, and entire amounts of wealth just evaporate. I mean, look at this. I mean, that was just actually. I'll go down here to the daily to get a really good zoomed in picture. But I mean, folks, anything like this can happen. Now, keep in mind the futures are still trading because there's still optimism. SegWit2x might come out, and I don't think the futures are really going to go away. They can't take away, these futures, but they'll either go to net zero, or there's going to be news that Jeff Garzik and the team are coming back out, and this could be the best buying opportunity in the world. I'm not going to take a side to this. I'm not going to be like laughing at it or anything like that, because I'd hate to be hypocritical and then it jump right back up to new highs. But at the same time, of course, I wouldn't buy this or anything like that, but you gotta watch out for things like this. A simple flick of the switch like that from developers in the community shows you how much power they have. Again, I wouldn't be gambling with futures in that regards, or going out and purposely buying futures. And this is the kind of issue here we have, is that when the new forks launch, people come in and they buy them. I don't know why. They're in a flash sale. I guess people think like, oh, I'm going to get it and then swing trade it upward. Usually doesn't work. So the moral of the story is, don't put money into something that has yet to exist. Okay, guys? Again, something so small, it doesn't seem like it really affected that many people, but definitely did burn some, as we learned from our story. And again, don't speculate on these kind of markets, folks. It's usually way too risky to put any serious amount of money in. So again, we got to keep our eyes out for that. All right, last but not least, vote for CoinDesk's most influential people in blockchain 2017. Oh, how did I miss this? October 20th. I got to keep up more with CoinDesk, but man, wow, this is really cool. They're doing an influential poll. What makes a person influential? Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe if they might have like a YouTube channel and talk about blockchain. Let's just keep on seeing what they're saying. Yet over the months, clear patterns came to light. New voices emerged, old ones faded, and others shone all the clearer for their persistence. Oh boy. Okay, well, I gotta look through this and see this whole poll thing, just see who might be on there, I don't know who could be on there. Okay, enter email. I mean, I could do that later. That would be kind of wrong to vote on a poll like this, Developers and technologists, I guess I didn't really build my own cryptocurrency just yet. Jeff Garzik, no, I don't know. Let's see here. Law, regulation, and public policy. I don't think I really fit in. I don't think I really want to focus on this category, Investors, exchanges, and ICOs. I'm not really focused on this point. Startups, entrepreneurs, and incumbents. Yeah, 90% of ICOs are going to fail. Who cares? Let's see here. Ooh, media, blogosphere, and culture. Pick the 3 that you feel were most influential in 2017. I don't know. I just gotta get. Wait a minute. Let's see here. Wait, what? Where's... Okay, well, Andreas, of course. I mean, obviously, Huge influencer. John McAfee. can't stop McAfee. $500,000 Bitcoiner, you know what. Where's I mean, Max Kaiser, he's out there, and Laura from Forbes, you know she's got it. I just, where's Ivan? Where's Box Mining? Crypto Daily? Where am I? I could have sworn